So glad that you're able to be here, though. But think about this Thanksgiving season in a different light. Make sure that you're not just thinking about yourself, but you're thinking about others, and you are allowing yourself to expand in your thought process, your vision, your heart, and your interactions, because it's important. It's important, and we should be thankful for those we have those connections with, and those that are coming forward that we're going to connect with. All right. I am grateful for all of you once again. Very, very grateful to have you here with me. And we are continuing our process through the Joseph Calling book. Yes, the Joseph Calling book. This week is going to be a doozy. A doozy so that I actually brought me some water, okay? But it's going to be a doozy. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good for our thought process. It's going to be good for us to rethink and do some self-reflection on where we are at, who we're connected to, what God is calling us to do in our lives. So let's dive in. Let's dive in, okay? Let's say a word of prayer first. God, we thank you. We praise you, Lord, for this day that you've given us. We thank you, God, because without you, we are nothing. Lord, as we journey through this Joseph Calling book, we just ask, Lord, that you would just lead us and guide us and show us things that we don't know about ourselves. Show us things that we don't know in regards to our relations and every aspect of our life. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. So we are going to be talking about character development. Oh, yeah, character development. That is stage 2, character development. And when we look up character development, it said it is also known as character arc. And it's a transformation or inner journey of a character, us as a person, over the course of a story, which would be the course of our lives. So character development, and dealing with character development in Joseph, there's a lot. There's a lot of variables in character development when we are talking about Joseph. Okay. And so I'm going to do some reading. We're going to do some talking. But in this, think about, what are the transformations in my life that have occurred? How? Why? Who was a part of that? What were the positives? What were the negatives? How can I apply them as I move forward in my life, in my business, in my ministry, in my relationships, in my marriage, in my friendships? How do I take these things and move forward? How do I apply them to my life in all aspects? My finances, my children, how do I do that? And so there's a whole lot of good content in here in regards to the character development. All right, so let's start off with Joseph himself. So Joseph had several things that occurred throughout his lifespan that helped in developing his character, or changed or shifted his character in how he handled things, how he handled people, how he allowed himself to be even used by God in the marketplace setting. And so when I talk about the marketplace setting, I'm talking about a place that has to do with business. And it has to do with commerce and the exchange of goods and all of that. So Joseph really had a whole lot of different experiences that affected his character. And he handled some things well and some he didn't. Because as we talked about last week, that recruitment stage, when he first learned about his dreams, didn't quite handle those correctly. Wasn't very mature in the way he handled that. So in his recruitment phase, I wouldn't give him an A+ on that. But how many times have we got a creative idea God's given us? We've gotten some kind of project, whatever it is, something, even if it's just about us, ourselves, something we got to change, something we need to do, whatever it is. And we mess that up in the beginning. We don't handle it right. All right. But as you can see, you will see here in the story with Joseph, it does not mean that's the end of y'all. Just because you started out a certain way and you think you messed it all up, doesn't mean that's the end. Doesn't mean that has to be just throw in the towel. It means that, okay, now I have this opportunity to correct that. I have this opportunity to change something. I have this opportunity to do something different. And so as we journey through these 6 stages, you're going to learn a whole lot of things that Joseph had encountered, he had changed, he had done, he had said. And everything was not on the up and up. Everything wasn't. But in the midst of it, he continued to persevere. He continued to endure through time. All right. So let's start off with some character development things. First of all, I'm going to go to Genesis. And I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 37. And I'm going to start at 18. Now, this is just one aspect of Joseph and his character development. And you're going to have to forgive me because I'm going to have to put these little things on so I can read for a second. Yeah. Just wait till you get older. All right. And starting at verse 18, when Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into their sinisters. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams. But when Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. Let's not kill him, he said. Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into the empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him. Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing. They grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then just as they were sitting there down eating, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum balm and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what we gain killing our brother, we'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he's our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him to them for 20 pieces of silver, and the traders took him to Egypt. Character development. Tell me, how would you have handled that? How would you have handled the fact that your brothers, your flesh and blood, have decided to conspire against you, then take you and put you into an empty cistern to leave you there, basically leaving you for dead? How does that affect your character? Now, we're going to talk about isolation later on in another stage. But even in this, Joseph's character, we don't hear them say, and Joseph was yelling and screaming or anything. I mean, we don't get that narrative. But one would imagine how I would feel. How would you feel if people close to you, people that you love, people that are supposed to be your flesh and blood, people that is your road dog, people that is your best friend, people that you have confided in, your business partner, decided to flip the script on you? How do you handle that? How is your character development going to be? Are you going to be like, okay, there's nothing I can do about this, but God, I need you real bad? Are you going to get in your emotions and your feelings? You just wait till I get my turn. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to bump, 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 bump. How are you going to handle that? How are you? Now, they took Joseph out of the cistern and handed him over to the Ishmaelites, aka Midianite traders. At that point in time, he could have said anything. But again, the narrative does not give us that information. So what would you have done? What would you have done if this was you? That's a question. That's a loaded question, as they say. So what would you do? How is this affecting your character? How is it affecting your mindset? How is it affecting your heart? All these things take place because in development of your character, your emotions, your mind, all of those things are into play. Joseph never once said, hey, those are my brothers. Come on now. Are you kidding me? Do you know what they're doing to me? Da, 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 da. It doesn't say that Joseph said any of that. And sometimes in our character development, we just need to, okay, this must be something that God needs me to encounter and learn something from. It doesn't mean that just because you're having an attack on your character that it's about you. Sometimes the attack of the character is about whom is giving the attack. Let's look at that. Let's look at Joseph's brothers. Let's look at where was their heart. Sure was not with Joseph. So we have to look at their character as well. And that could be the reasoning why Joseph handled things the way he handled it. We don't know. But we've got to look at the character not only within ourselves, but we've got to look at the character of those around us. We got to look at their character. We got to look at who they are, how they handle things, their mindsets, where are they at in their lives. We have to look at all those things in character development. Okay? So even in our character development, we have to do some things. Let's recap on that recruitment. It's talking about knowing your purpose, not moving prematurely or immaturely. When you do move, make sure it's a strategic move. Okay? Yes. So there are so many things related to Joseph, like I said, with his character. So first we see he's sold as a slave by his own brothers, sold as a slave. So his character goes from this coat of many colors, I am the favorite, I am loved, all of that, to, wow, I've been reduced to a slave. I've been reduced to property. What have you reduced in your life? Based on how you feel, your thought process, what somebody else said or did. What have you reduced in your life? What have you caused to be cut off out of your life. Joseph's brothers wanted him cut off, out, get out. You taking up space. You getting all the attention. Da, 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 da. What are you doing to cut some things out of your life? Are you cutting them out for the better? Are you cutting them out just because you emotionally need to do that? What are you doing in the development of your character? All right. Let's read a little bit more. Let's go a little bit further and learn about Joseph. Here we go again. So let's go to Genesis chapter 39. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph. So he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Pharaoh noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. "Come and sleep with me," she demanded. But Joseph refused. "Look," he told her, "my master trusts me with everything in his household. No one here has more authority than I do. He has held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God." She kept pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, "Come, sleep with me." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hand as he ran from the house. Oh my goodness. Oh my. Let's talk about character development there. So, keep in mind, Joseph is still a slave. He's been given these top priorities like head of the house, but he's still a slave. How is it that God will allow us to progress in our life in areas, but still we are slaved? We are still bound up. We are still tied up. We are still at a point of being under arrest. Why is it that Joseph didn't say, "Oh, I can't take that on. Oh, I can't take that on because I'm just a slave"? No. Joseph knew that this was God's doing. And there are times when God's going to do some stuff totally off the wall for us. And we are not going to understand why. Like, why did you pick me to do this? Why did you pick me to be blessed with that? Why did you give me this gift to bless others? I don't deserve it. I've done nothing to earn it. In our character development, We have to look at it like Joseph did. We got to walk those things out, knowing that God is in the process. He is in the process, and his presence is with us no matter what. Even though we may have some areas where we feel like we are enslaved, we feel like we are arrested, we feel like we are tied up. If we will embrace this thing that God has placed in our lives, if we will just embrace the blessings that he has brought forth and move forward like we are the top, because God has given us top priority. Now here, Joseph had an issue, didn't he? Potiphar's wife. He could have easily said, come on over here, girl. Let's do what we do. Potiphar don't have to know. It's all right. We can do this. We can do this. But Joseph knew that God had set him up in this area. He had set him up totally, and he didn't want to mess it up. So don't let yourself get tempted and enticed by things that will throw you off or forfeit you from being in the position that you now have, the position that you are soon to be in. Don't let one little thing mess you up. Don't let it mess you up. Sometimes it's just this old mind of ours. Sometimes it's heart of ours. Sometimes it's mouth of ours. Sometimes it's these ears of ours that get us in the trouble that Joseph could have been in. So we have to learn how to use wisdom and discernment when these things come. So understand that even when God elevates you and God blesses you and God brings you to a point where you are victorious no matter what's going on, the enemy is going to do his part. Yeah, he's going to do his part because he wants you to get off track. He wants you to stray from what God has you focused on. He wants you to move off of the path that he has set for you. Trust him. Trust in the Lord. Come on. Because Joseph could have just easily said, girl, let's go over here and do what we're going to do. But he didn't. He was like, I ain't about to mess this up. Are you tripping? You better go somewhere. And then you see how she held on to that cloak. Because the enemy always wants to have something to think he can dangle over your head. That's what he wants. But guess what? Even still, remain faithful as Joseph did, because understand that God has your back. No matter what, he has your back. All right. So even when we think that God doesn't have our back, he does. He does. So even though she's seducing him, like, come on, come and sleep with me. Come on. Because he was fine as wine, as they say. Joseph was like, you ain't about to mess up my blessing. You ain't about to mess up my blessing. So some of us today, we need to just say, you ain't about to mess up my blessing. I don't know who are you? You ain't about to mess up my blessing. Oh, no. Oh, them words you got to say, I do not have to accept them. You ain't about to mess up my blessing. You ain't doing it. We've got to take that stance like Joseph did against Potiphar's wife. No means no. And allow those type of situations to build up our character. We are building up faith. We're building up strength. We're building up knowledge. We're building up so many things that are necessary for what is to come down the line in our lives. When we take that stance right then and there and just say no. Just say no. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to think it. I'm not going to receive it. It's not going to happen because I won't accept it. All right? All right. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. So some more in the character development of Joseph. Oh, yep. Here we go again. Let's go to chapter 40 in Genesis. Verse 1 says, sometime later, Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and chief baker offended their royal master. Pharaoh became angry with these two officials and he put them in the prison where Joseph was. Remember, Joseph ain't free. He's still in jail. All right? So, in the palace of the captain of the guard, they remained in prison for quite some time, and the captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, who looked after them. Ain't that something? Joseph is, what? In prison and still in charge. Come on. While they were in prison, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker each had a dream one night, and each dream had its own meaning. When Joseph saw them the next morning, he noticed that they were both looking upset. Why do you look so worried today? He asked them. And they replied, we both had dreams last night, but no one can tell us what they mean. Interpreting dreams is God's business, Joseph replied. Go ahead and tell me your dreams. I'm going to go down here a little bit. And so later, let me just tell you that Joseph began to interpret the dreams for the cupbearer and the chief baker. And then also Pharaoh had dreams as well that Joseph interpreted. But let's go down here to verse 20. Pharaoh's birthday came 3 days later, and he prepared a banquet for all his officials and staff. He summoned his chief cupbearer and chief baker to join the other officials. Then he restored the chief cupbearer to his former position so he could again hand Pharaoh his cup. But Pharaoh impaled the chief baker, just as Joseph had predicted when he interpreted his dream. Pharaoh's chief cupbearer, however, forgot all about Joseph, never giving him another thought. How do you handle that? Smack on your character. How do you handle when people that you have helped out have totally forgotten you? How do you handle that? It says a lot about your character, the way you handle when people mishandle you. Yeah. It says a whole lot. And you know, scripture tells us, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But sometimes people don't care. They don't care. They're always looking out for me and I. Me and I. They don't care how you feel. They don't care how it affects your mind. They don't care how it affects your heart. They don't care how it affects your bank account. They don't care at all. Hello? They don't care about the reputation that you're spreading that is totally negative and false. They don't care. They don't even care. But look how Joseph handled it. He didn't trip. He didn't go off. He didn't be like, hey, hold up. You forgot about me after what I did for you? You forgot about me after I interpreted those dreams for you? Seriously, when I interpreted the dream, it was telling you you're going to be right where you are. You can't even open up your mouth and tell him that I was the one that interpreted the dream for you. You just going to leave me out in the cold after I've helped you? I'm still in prison. Yeah, I'm over it. But I'm still in it. And you've chosen not to help me. Did he do any of that? No. But how many times do we do that? I done been there for you, and you ain't going to be there for me. What's up with that? Been there, done that. Probably will do it again. But it's something that we have to work on. We have to work on our reaction to their action. We have to work on our reaction to their action. Sometimes people do stuff on purpose. They do it intentionally. They know they're doing it. We have to work on our reaction to their action. Yeah. It's sad to say, but it has to happen. It's a hard pill to swallow. But we have to work on that in our character development. All right? In our character development. One last piece. I know this has been tough, haven't it? It's been tough for me. But, these are the things that we need to address within ourselves. We need to recognize in others, all of that. We have to do it. We have to do it. It's for our betterment. It's for the betterment of those around us if we do. All right. One more. Now remember in the beginning here, Joseph's brothers sold him, all that good stuff. They, put him in the cistern, then sold him, ripped his coat off, all that other stuff. Just totally conspired to kill the guy. All right. So now we are in Genesis 45. Joseph could stand it no longer. There were many people in the room, and he said to his attendants, "Out, all of you." So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Then he broke down and wept. He wept so loudly the Egyptians could hear him, and word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. "I'm Joseph," he said to his brothers. "Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were speechless. They were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. "Please come closer," he said to them. So they came closer, and he said again, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into slavery in Egypt. But don't be upset and don't be angry with yourselves for selling me to this place. It was God who sent me here ahead of you to preserve your lives. This famine that has ravaged the land for 2 years will last 5 more years, and there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. God has sent me ahead of you to keep you and your families alive and to preserve many survivors. So it was God who sent me here, not you. And he is the one who made me an advisor to Pharaoh, the manager of his entire palace and the governor of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me master over all the land of Egypt. So come down to me immediately. You can live in the region of Goshen, where you can be near me with all your children and grandchildren, your flocks and herds and everything you own. I will take care of you there, for there you are still 5 years of famine ahead of us. Otherwise, you yourself, your household, and all your animals will starve." And then Joseph added, "Look, you can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin, that I am really Joseph. Go tell my father of my honored position in Egypt. Describe him for everything you have seen, and then bring my father here quickly." Weeping with joy, he embraced Benjamin, and Benjamin did the same. Then Joseph kissed each of his brothers and wept over them. And after that, they began talking freely with him. If that is not a character development, I don't know what to say it is. So, after all of this, Joseph is made head over basically the commerce, like I was talking about, the selling of the goods and trading. And there was a famine in the land. The brothers had to come in so they could, get what they needed to get to take back home. Joseph knew who they were in the very beginning. He knew who they were. But he just played it all off. And he had a few little tests that he did give them. So, even he had a few tests that he did give them. But then here in the end, he begins to reveal himself and say, don't be angry. Don't be angry. God sent me here. You didn't have anything to do with me being here. It was God. How do you handle that? How would you handle the fact that now these people who have done you wrong, totally done you wrong, get brought back around to your life in a different situation and scenario, how do you handle them? Have you allowed any progression in your character to that point that will allow you to respond differently than you would have if you was all in your emotions and your feelings? Yeah. Joseph showed excellent character in the way that he handled his brothers. Excellent character. No matter what, even when people want to do the most evil thing to you, it is better to do things God's way. Do it God's way. And look at the situation. Look at the situation and what happened and what transpired. And then look at where you were then as opposed to where you are now. And see what was it that God needed me to learn in that process. What was it that God needed me to mature in my life? What maybe I needed to get a better handle on my finances. Maybe I needed to look and value myself. Maybe, just maybe, I needed to understand that I couldn't be selfish as well. Maybe. But there are so many things that we learn in the process of time. So when God brings that around to you, how will you handle that? How will you handle it when it comes back? What is the lessons you've learned that will allow your character to be totally different? And you will be in a better stance, a better position, a better place in your life to handle it. Because Joseph could have been like, yeah, I just want you to know who I am. And yeah, there's about to be 5 more years of famine, but I ain't about to give you jack squat. Guess what? You ain't about to get nothing, okay? Because I'm in charge and I can just take it from you. Oh, I can just be real evil. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Oh, remember when you took my coat? Oh, remember when you sold me? Oh, remember when you put me in that cistern? Oh, he could have went all there. He could have went all there. But he did not. He understood. This is God's doing. And he needed me to go through this process. And he also needed you to go through a process. You don't know what people are going through and what they are dealing with after they do you wrong. You don't know. You don't know what God has decided to allow to occur in their lives because they don't treat you the right way. You don't know. You don't know. And you know what gets us in trouble? This mouth and this mind gets us in trouble all day long. But we have to learn character development. Character development. So as I wrap things up, I just have some questions for you. How do you handle imprisonment? What are you imprisoned with in your mind? What are you imprisoned with? What are you imprisoned with physically? You may be in a relationship. You may be in a business partnership. You may be on a job and you just feel imprisoned. What are those things? What are they? What are they? What if you had to endure it for a long time? Joseph's story was years in the making. He didn't go from the cistern to the palace in like that. No, it was years. Are you willing and how long have you endured that? And then we have to remember that Joseph had a dream. Joseph had a dream, but then it took years for it to come to pass. We have to go through the process of time to receive what God has for us. And know that in that process, there are so many things that are being built up. Our faith, our confidence, our strength, our knowledge, our ability to have effective and healthy relationships and connections. All those things take place in the process. All of those things. One thing that I have wrote down was, visions make us compassionate and thorns keep us authentic. That thorn, them brothers, was Joseph's thorn, but it kept him authentic. What is the thorn in your life that keeps you authentic? Thank God for it. Thank God for it, because that's what keeps us humble, and it keeps us looking like we aren't everybody bagging the chips and all that stuff and we above everybody and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't, no. It keeps us authentic. It keeps us humble. A few things that I will share with you from the book. Sometimes God will place you in situations in which you have no natural gifting. In these cases, it's important to understand that God put you there to experience His power so you can accomplish your tasks. This is a season of character building. Yes. A few more things and we are wrapping it up. Shattered dreams often become the unexpected doorways to a destiny we could never appreciate without them. So them brothers, their dream was, let's get rid of him, let's kill him. But understanding that their shattered dream later brought them the blessing of being able to have plenty in a time of famine. Remember that. Shattered dreams often become the unexpected doorways to a destiny we could never appreciate without them. Yes. Failure is often the stepping stone to greater victory. Sometimes the Lord leaves us in a problem until we have had enough pain to get rid of it forever. Sometimes we must get to a deep level of pain and disappointment in life in order to be motivated for real change. I will leave you with those things. There's a whole lot more. Like I said, if you do not have this book, get it, because it is so good just for life journey. It is so eye-opening. And so as we end today, I just want to pray for you to have a blessed week. I want to pray that those things that you may feel imprisoned by, that God will reveal to you why you are in that prison, how you're supposed to get out of that prison, when you're supposed to get out of that prison, and what are you supposed to be learning while you're in that prison. I am praying for you right now that God will show you how to handle your enemies. I am praying for you right now that God will give you the tools you need to be able to go from the cistern to the palace places in your life, that God will do exceeding and abundantly more than you can ask or think, giving you those tools that you need for your daily life. It is so important. I love you. I pray for you, and I thank God for you. All right.